Edwards, the mindset geek from go2l.com, and welcome back. Now, in today's episode, we are thinking about how you can use your amazing brain, and specifically the reticular activating system, to help you plot and plan your book. Now, of course, as ever, this can be taken and used within the context of any other goal or project that you're working on. In October, we are talking specifically about writing because NaNoWriMo is just around the corner. Woohoo! And so I wanted to give you the tools that you need to plot and plan. Well, not just plot and plan, the mindset stuff that will help you get your book done. So if you've been following along, last week was all about getting started, getting your bum in the chair, dealing with any excuses that might come up for you. This week we are about planning, and as I mentioned yesterday, this isn't your traditional planning advice. This is the mindset stuff that's actually going to help you plan, actually getting your brain to help you do the work. You still got to do the work, obviously, but you might as well use the amazing brain that you've been given to make it as delightful and as easy as possible. So that's what this week is all about. So if you haven't caught those episodes, if you haven't caught yesterday's episode, I would encourage you to go back and watch it, and I'll put a link to yesterday's I'll put a link to yesterday's episode in the show notes. Slightly longer than normal, but it's digging into what your question is. I'm not going to go over that again because, you might already watch that and you'll be like, yeah, I know, Elle. But go back and watch it because actually this week does build on. So each episode builds on the previous episode. So if yesterday you played along and you've been pondering on what your question is, what question you are answering with your book or whatever project you are working on, today we are thinking about how you can take that question and then set your brain to work. So a quick reminder, if you're brand new to the L-iverse, that's like my L version of the universe. If you're brand new to my world, you might not have heard me talk about the reticular activating system before. So it does warrant a quick reminder. It's a part of your brain that filters in information that your brain deems important to you. And it does other stuff too, but that's what it does for the purposes of what we want to talk about today. And the reason why this is important is you have so much information being thrown at you on a daily basis. You can't possibly consciously notice all of it because it would drive you crazy. A bit like on Facebook. Facebook doesn't show you every single thing that all the people and the pages and the groups that you interact with post day by day. It filters stuff, and it filters it based on what you like and comment and interact with. And your brain is exactly the same. Now, I don't know, obviously your brain came first, but so whether Facebook consciously knew about the reticular activating system or whether it's just by lucky coincidence, but it's a great analogy. So how are we going to put this to use? Having decided what your question is that you want your book or project or whatever to answer, we're going to set your brain to work. So you're going to noodle on it. Now, if you've already watched the Mindset Minute, I did a very quick version of this. I encouraged you to noodle on the problem. So the more that you can ponder on it, and I don't mean ponder on it in a negative way. As ever, I'm always encouraging you to ponder on it in the positive. Look at it as an empowering thing, not like, oh no, I don't know the answer to this. I don't know how to do that. I can't do this. No, not the negative language. I just use negative then, not the negative language. Okay, but instead of thinking it in a negative term, flip it. I don't know the answers yet. I can't do this yet. That's the briefest and easiest way to flip it. But they're probably, language is a nuanced thing. So you can probably completely rewrite that statement into a much more positive reference point. But I want you to start thinking about, okay, this is the question I want to answer with my book, with my project, with my goal, with my life. Now what? And see what your brain comes up with. And don't, at this stage, throw anything out. Write down all of the ideas that come up. If you're out and about and you have, quickly pop it on your phone. Most of us now have smartphones, or lots of us have smartphones where we can leave a note to ourselves. If you're driving and you have an iPhone, for example, I'm not encouraging you to play on your phone when you're driving. Get Siri to do it. Hey Siri, you can say, remind me of, and then talk about the thing that you've done. And I should, at this point, say that other artificial intelligence helpers are available. Like Cortana is the one, I think, on Google, but I've got an iPhone, so Siri is the one. But I think Siri is actually, I don't use Siri as much as I could. And there are ways that we can use Siri to remind us of stuff, even when we're driving. So whenever those ideas come up, if you're in the shower, now then, how are you going to record your ideas if you're in the shower? One of my friends talks about how you can actually get a piece of paper and a permanent marker, and your paper will stick to the side of the tiles because of water. Now, it's not a permanent solution. If it gets too wet, of course, it will completely disintegrate. But if you do find that you have lots of ideas in the shower, consider a solution of types. You know, you could take your phone into the bathroom with you and still use Siri. You could have a piece of paper stuck up on the wall and a permanent marker. Just keep in mind that these ideas don't come often at those designated thinking times. I'm using air quotes because there shouldn't be designated thinking times. Ideas come to us when we least expect it, because that's how the reticular activating system works. You're oft consciously thinking about, I don't know, breakfast or something, and then all of a sudden, what about this? And, you know, as a person of faith, I think that lots of these ideas and this inspiration comes from someone bigger than me. I've had too many experiences where I've recorded the Mindset Minute, for example, and someone said, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed to hear today. And when I've been doing my daily emails over the years as well, how did you know? I didn't know. I had these ideas pop in my head, and I've learned now to listen to the nudges and follow the nudges. So some of this will be your brain, some of this might be someone bigger than you, whether you call him God, the universe, higher power, force, whatever your name is for this being that created the world. Most people now will accept that there's some being, something, someone bigger than us out there. Call this being whatever you want. Be open to those ideas that pop into your mind seemingly from nowhere and write them down. And at this stage in the process, like I say, we're not discounting anything. Write it all down, record it in some way. Think of this if you're writing a book. This might be your first book. Some of these ideas might be for later books. That's fine. At this stage, write it all down. Your brain, and the more you write those things down, the more your brain will go, oh, okay, yeah, that's important to her. And it will filter in more and more examples. And that is thanks to the reticular activating system. So it's one really practical way that you can put your brain to use today to help you as you're plotting and planning your book or whatever goal or project you are working on. And of course, every single day now for the next 2 weeks or so, you're going to hear me mention this at the end. Rent a Boss, the group version of Rent a Boss, the cart is open, as they say. You can buy it now. Go to rentaboss.uk. If you love community, if you'd like some support, if you'd like a mindset geek combined with training. I mean, I've published 6 books now. It's a real practical way to help you get your book written. Or if you've written it and you want to use the momentum of November to get it published, that works too. So if that feels like a good option for you, I offer it one-on-one all year round, but of course it's got a higher price point. And the beauty of doing it together in November is the power of community. So if that's niggling at you, I would encourage you to listen to that niggle, go to rentaboss.uk and see if it feels like a good fit for you. But in the meantime, ponder on that question, allow that question to niggle at you, and write down or record in some way all of the ideas that come up, because they are going to be useful to you. Okay? Excellent. Get to it. And in the meantime, smile. Have yourself a delightful day. I've been Elle from GoToElle.com. Take care. Bye-bye.